Good evening, everybody. This is Mason Sims, and welcome to another edition of our show. Joining us this evening is Miss Kelsey Crooks. She's on the Planning Commission for District 5, which pretty much covers the Easley city limits. And she's going to be sharing with us today some of her concerns over the UDO that's going on in our city, and also describe her current role on the Planning Commission. So again, my name is Mason Sims, and let's get started. Good evening, everybody. With me, I have Miss Kelsey Crooks. She is on the Planning Commission for District 5 of Pickens County. Kelsey, thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you for asking me to come on. This is great.
Absolutely. I saw you on the New American Movement, and you've been involved, seemed like, for a long time, so I'm glad to have you on.
Yeah, me too. It's great.
Yeah, so tell us about yourself.
Okay, a little bit about me. I am a 32-year Pickens County resident, and grew up here. Was a little bit more embarrassed about it growing up, but have just really grown to love Pickens County and my hometown, and I really enjoy being a part of this community. I've been on the Pickens County Planning Commission for a little over a year, so that's been exciting, kind of getting involved at the local level and helping shape ordinances and the way that the county looks. Yeah, just really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so to kind of describe your role too for the Planning Commission.
Yeah, so just a few months ago, I made vice chair of the Planning Commission. So that was an awesome achievement. I'm really happy about that and appreciate that opportunity. Really where we are in the County Planning Commission is we just came out of about a year-long moratorium where we were updating all of our ordinances, our UDS of Unified Development Standard ordinances. And we put a lot of work, a lot of public input, a lot of thoughtfulness into the way that we wanted to see the county shaped. Trying to slow development without stopping it, but just being more mindful about the way that we are growing and how we're growing and why we're growing. It's been a lot of hard work. It's been a lot of countless hours put into redefining our standards and the way that we develop. But I think overall we've done a really good job, and we're going to continue to work on things and continue to shape those ordinances. But overall, we've kind of increased lot sizes, increased buffers, increased setbacks from waterways, to try to keep that rural preservation and look for Pickens County. So, yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah, the biggest thing too is that people are concerned about the amount of growth. They just want to make sure growth is good. There's some worry. They should make sure that we kind of can control it.
Yeah, so that was the biggest outcry that we were hearing in Pickens County was people are tired of the overdevelopment or just kind of the lack of identity when a development does come in. It just felt like it was, too much high density, not a lot of character, not a lot of preservation. So we did kind of take a step back and say, okay, well, let's kind of pause things for a little while and see what we're working with and see what we can do to make improvements and hopefully just kind of keep some of the characteristics of Pickens County that people love so much. But, also just pay respect to the development side and grow as a community and shape what we want together versus it being so developer versus citizen.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's good. Yeah. Y'all continue to do well on the Planning Commission.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So the one thing that I saw on the New American Movement, and you and I had mentioned before, you had some concerns about the UDO and annexation. Would you kind of go elaborate on that?
Yeah, so the New American Movement's another local podcast in town. And I've been on there and I've spoken about, the Planning Commission and annexation and the UDSO and all of the stuff that we're kind of bringing back up today. As far as where we are.
So you have annexation concerns. You had reached out to the mayor about that.
Yeah, so the city of Easley mayor, Mayor Talbert, I did reach out to her recently to try to set up a meeting with her to discuss the city's UDO process and how that will kind of like transition into the county's UDSO process. Because it's ultimately the same goal. Typically you have higher density within city limits. But I did just want to meet with her and try to go over where their process is at and what she's looking to accomplish and what are some of the achievements she'd like to see come out of the end of their moratorium and their UDO process. But ultimately wasn't able to say anything with her, which is unfortunate, but totally understandable. You can't meet with every elected official, and so we'll just kind of keep an eye on what they're doing, and I'll just have to kind of look from the outside and keep up with what the city is doing and try my best to stay involved on the District 5 front as a whole.
I understand. Yeah, just kind of like stay in your sandbox, kind of like Neil Collins says.
Yeah, sometimes, not everybody meshes and that's okay. But overall, when you have a position that affects all of District 5, you just try to kind of
pretty much just even civil lines.
Yeah, it is. It is all of the city of Easley. But, that is what it is. And we'll just see things play out.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I was going to mention too is you had, so it's like the UDO concerns and also the annexation on Brown Road and Sheriff Mill Road.
Yeah, so it's Sheriff Mill Road and Brown Drive. So those two are kind of funny because there's a new development in the city of Easley that's like less than 2 miles away from Brown Drive that is called Brown Road. It's a new development.
Okay.
So there's some confusion there. But yeah, kind of how I got my start and interest in the local level and planning and planning commission and development as a whole was Brown Drive and Sheriff Mill Road were at stake of being annexed into the city limits, which was going to change a lot of the characteristics of where I live and where my neighbors live. And so we got heavily involved in trying to prevent that annexation from happening, which was about 2 years ago. We were successful at that, which was great. Under the old administration at the city of Easley, they decided to ultimately vote against the annexation. And so since that's taken place, we've kind of dug our heels a little bit deeper into understanding annexation, why it happens, why it shouldn't happen, those types of things. And ultimately, we've tried to push for some legislation changes at the state level for annexation. Some of the rules are a little dated. I don't think the ordinances or laws for annexation have been updated since like the 70s. So there's a lot of loopholes and just a lot of unrepresented issues when it comes to annexation. So just hopefully looking to get some of those laws updated and some changes made to prevent as much rural county land being taken over by the municipalities and ultimately allowing higher density and more city issues coming into the county.
Right. One thing I was going to mention too is the email that you sent seemed like it was really just a straightforward question, and I've kind of experienced that myself. It was just kind of kind of seemed like that you feel bad, by sending the email or something. And
to Mayor Talbert.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it is what it is, like I said, but, I tried to extend an olive branch there and reach out and just have that conversation about development and development standards. It just wasn't met with a lot of interest, which, like I said, it's okay. But it'll just be a situation that because I can't have those conversations behind the scenes, I'll have to keep an outside look onto what's happening within the city.
Yeah, and how do you think the election's going to look this come November with Denise David and Jim Robinson seats open?
I don't know. I think like any local election, it can get heated and messy, and I think we all just have to remember that we are each other's neighbors and to remember just to have respect for one another. I hope it goes well for everybody involved. It's always interesting to see what the public notices about our elected officials and what they want to see take place moving forward. So It's always fascinating to me, but may the best man win.
Yeah, I hadn't heard much about like David Jones and Denise Davis's wars, like who's going to be challenging them. I just hadn't really heard much about that.
Yeah, I don't know either. I've kind of had my head in the sand on the Pickens County stuff as far as, like I said, it's coming out of the moratorium and we updated so many of our development standards. So as far as the city politics and all the ins and outs of what's going on that front, I haven't stayed as involved in. So I don't know, to be honest with you, but hopefully, whatever is best for the city and however the citizens feel should represent them, I hope that's what they get.
Yeah, and another thing too is you attended the Pickens County Public Party reorg, right?
Yeah, the GOP reorganization event this past Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did go. So I ended up being able to take over president of my precinct at Brushy Creek, which is nice. But it was really my first time ever attending a reorg. So it was more about just the interaction and seeing how it worked and how to stay involved on, my district side. So yeah, we'll see how that goes too. Got a lot going on. So
yeah, seems like you got a full schedule with planning commission and the realtor also. So
yeah, so real estate has been busy as well, and planning commission keeps me busy, and just all of the easily in and out. So, but it's been good.
Yeah. So the last thing I was going to ask you too is like, how do you think the matchup is currently with the Pickens GOP? I know that Neil Garrett, he's running, and also Kathy Davis. Those are really the only two that
yeah, with Saturday being kind of the first initiation of getting involved on the GOP side, I don't know much about either candidate, and I'm just going to kind of take a approach to learning about each one and seeing how I feel about where they want to take the Republican Party within Pickens County. So I don't know. We'll see how it works out, but hopefully it goes well.
That's good. Yeah, it's definitely been rough this past year.
Yes.
The division and all that.
Yeah, that's just, politics in general. But, you hope to see that somebody steps up into a leadership position that wants to kind of unify the situation and not create more division. So I would imagine that if none of that is happening within the GOP, that I'll be able to maintain an interest or a desire to stay involved in a party like that. But I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping that somebody, like I said, wants to step up and do what's right for Pickens County and kind of step away from so much of the political side and just kind of be a little bit more unified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not good to attack your own tricks either, especially, it's hard enough, getting people involved. And yes, when all that nastiness and stuff goes on, then you lose people and they're not going to want to come back.
Yeah, that's true. And that's just kind of, the local level government as a whole. Like, even being on the planning commission, it's hard to keep people engaged about what's going on in the community and what's coming up and, what developments are taking place. And it's usually not until it's in somebody's front yard that they notice or pay attention to what's going on. So I try really hard to kind of keep as much information out in the public as I possibly can. But yeah, it's always interesting. You just hope for the best and hope that people keep paying attention, because it really does start all at the local level. If you're not paying attention at this, the national stuff is only going to get you so far,
Right. Yeah. Early 2020, late 2019, when I got involved, I didn't realize, I didn't really know who my state representative was. Yeah, exactly.
You figured that out quick, right?
Yeah, because I guess the average voter mainly just focused on the federal stuff, like Congress, Senator, President.
National issues, right? And then it takes that one thing to kind of grab your attention or catch your interest, and then suddenly you're starting to kind of peel away the layers and understand how much happens at the local level. Whether it's a board that you can be a part of, or a municipality seat or a county seat or, a state level seat. There's so much going on just here alone that, it doesn't even start to touch some of the national issues that we have.
Right. Yeah. People focus on the federal, but
Yeah.
a lot of stuff that affects your everyday life happens right here in local government.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's great to kind of have you involved as well, because it definitely keeps more people engaged, which is great.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of us to try to do those things.
Yeah, and I hope that we stay involved, and also Clay Counts and people and our generation get involved. So that's because it seems like Dan Winchester passing away in the Pickens GOP and others, Alan Quinn, we got to find people that are going to keep the party going.
Absolutely. So it's nice to have, people around our age group staying involved. It's been really fun to get to know all of you and just kind of build together and create the next chapter.
Absolutely. And is there anything else you'd like to say to your constituents and our viewers while we're on there?
Well, I'm trying to think what we have coming up on the Planning Commission front. So the Pickens County Planning Commission will be hosting a workshop on March 31st at 6 p.m., which happens at the Pickens County Administration Building. And we're going to be going over Highway 11 ordinances. We're going to be going over district overlays for Highway 8 and for the lake areas. And I'm trying to think what else we're going to be discussing. I think we're going to talk about annexation some because it's coming up again in a few cities such as Pickens. I think we have some talks of some coming up in Easley. So we're going to be discussing that on the county side. And we're going to go over RV and campground ordinances. And I think the goal for that is to kind of create a distinct identity for RVs versus campgrounds and separating those ordinances.
Right. Actually, when I spoke with Ken Rover last week, he mentioned that the power plant has recently taken over Warpath Landings.
Oh, really?
Yes, I didn't know that's where y'all mentioned on Planning Convention, but that's good because my parents live over 6 Mile, and that's the closest boat landing to where we are. And it's just, there's a lot of crime over there, but now it's the state entity's taking over, hopefully to have more security control in the place.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's great to know. I definitely pick your brain about some of that if that's where you guys kind of camp and do your stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's Mile Creek. They currently own Mile Creek, and they did pretty well for the most part.
Yeah, Mile Creek is great.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great places in Pickens County. It's so beautiful. And, that's part of, the reason that I got involved is just kind of protect some of those areas that we love and cherish so much. So it's been nice.
Yeah, it's a unique county. You have the urban life, and you also have the rural life as well.
Yeah, it is beautiful. We have the best of both worlds. I hope we don't continue to take it for granted.
Yes, hopefully we can just have growth, control growth.
Yeah, that's definitely a catch-22 because it just always sounds like, you can't have the best of both, but we continue to pluck away and find ways to make the best of both. So,
yes, and Kelsey, it was great having you on this evening.
Thank you, Mason. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody. And that concludes our show for this evening. If you have not already, please feel free to click, share, like, and subscribe on our YouTube channel for future updates, and also follow our Facebook page as well. I hope that everyone has had a great week so far. And next week, I'm really going to be diving into the whole reorg process with the Republican Party. I'll mostly be covering, just Pickens County reorg and also surrounding areas like Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson. But next week, I'm going to be diving into the candidates we currently have for the Pickens County Republican Party, which is Kathy Davis and Neil Garrett. I'm just going to be giving a brief overview of each candidate, and I'll also try to have them on the show as well for the county convention at Southern Wesleyan next month. So again, thank you for tuning in this evening. Good night to you all, and God bless America. Thank you.